success is something that we all want at the core of who we are. But have you ever thought to think that how we grew up, the things that we experienced as a child, may have an impact on that journey? Today, in Living Intentionally, I have a very special guest that is going to help us unpack how childhood shapes our success journey. Don't go anywhere. Welcome to Living Intentionally, the podcast that empowers driven women to get unstuck and to take their personal and professional lives to the next level. I'm your host, Carmen Benton. I am here to help you create the life you truly desire without burning out. And as a leading expert in living with amplified alignment between your mind, your energy, and your soul purpose, I'll be sharing valuable insights on mindset, energy, self-care, business, and much more. Plus, you get to hear from inspired women who have successfully built businesses and lives that are both meaningful and fulfilling. Join us as we dive into the topic that matter most and uncover the secrets to living intentionally. Welcome to today's episode of Living Intentionally. Today I have a very special guest. Her name is Christelle Pillot. She's a guiding light in a world where success often competes with personal well-being. As an experienced coach and career consultant, she empowers women to forge impactful careers while maintaining a harmonious work-life balance. Christelle's journey is rooted in chemical engineering, and it took an unexpected turn into intentional sales management, driven by her fascination with psychology and human connections. Over 15 dynamic years as a sale and distributor manager, she expanded business globally, delving into human diversity, entrepreneurship, and self-discovery. Yet, at the height of her external achievements, Christelle underwent a transformative internal shift. In her mid 30s, the pursuit of success left her feeling disconnected from her authentic self, leading to depression and fatigue. Her turning point, detailed in the book that we are co-authoring together, which is the second volume of Woman Thrive, marked the beginning of a new path. In 2013, Christelle harnessed her lifelong connection to meditation to teach mindfulness, stress management, and emotional intelligence, venturing into coaching, and she became a beacon of transformation, founding Freedom Catcher Academy to guide individuals toward their full potential. Beyond coaching, as a business building specialist at Victory Lock, Christelle mentors budding entrepreneurs to design impactful businesses and programs and advocates for gender equality. As a mother of three and involved in a dance community, she nurtures creativity and self-expression. She stands as a beacon of hope for those seeking authenticity, prosperity, and harmony. Her coaching philosophy centers on embracing individuality, refining careers, and strengthening family bonds. Through her guidance, busy parents find joy, serenity, and vitality, allowing personal and professional aspirations to flourish. Christelle, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me with you. I'm really, really glad to be with you today.
I am so excited, and it's funny because I normally, okay, this is self-serving. I normally like shorten the bios, but I'm reading it, and I'm like, I am reading my life here. So
Yes, we have so many things in common, and I know that you speak a lot about fulfillment as well. You speak a lot about freedom. You speak a lot. You speak a lot about forgiveness, about compassion, and that's the lesson that I took with me during my journey, my own journey. So we definitely are on the same path.
yes, it's so. It always amazes me how life does that, right? Like it puts you on a path with souls that offer you resonance to what you are, right? And so beautiful be a co-author in this amazing book that we're going to be launching soon
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about that a little bit here. So you guys can get a little peek on all the amazing stories that this book has. So, why don't you tell us before we get into the actual book? Um, I obviously read your career, your bio, but like, tell us a little bit about you. Like,
Hmm?
what drove that transformation in your mid 30s? What made you go from a successful career to like, okay, I got to do something different?
Yeah, well, it's not something that happened in one day. I think I didn't tell that in the bio, but I am French, and
Mhm.
I do believe that we can hear that.
Yeah.
But I am French, and I started my career in Germany, so it's like 20 years ago. I tell that because my children are half French, half German, and then I am in all this culture all the time, and that opened eyes too. So it's really something that helps you eventually um, to think more, because there is so many stuff that you learn from your childhood that it should be this way.
Mhm.
That's only the way it should be. You don't have to question that. And when you come in another country, another culture, you are like, wow, they are doing that completely different, and they all think that it should be this completely different way. And then you are like, so what is the right way at the end? Uh,
Right.
and then you can see that there is indeed so many different ways to live your life, and all are okay or all are good as long as you are aligned with it. um, so what happened is that I became an engineer, but it's really not something that I decided to be. It just happened. I wanted to be psychologist. I wanted to be like an architect, to draw things, because I am a lot into drawing, or I was a lot into drawing as I was a teenager. I wanted to be like a sport teacher because I was a lot into sport. So I wanted to be a lot of things, but not engineer. And it just happened that, okay, I finished and I was a chemical engineer. And um, I believe that for me, all the time I could learn and grow, it was good enough. It
Mhm.
could give me like a purpose, that just bring me one step further, even if I kind of knew that it was not really my path. But I thought, as long as I'm moving, I might find it. And I can remember before I had children, I can remember telling my mom, I'm doing what I'm doing because I didn't find something else.
Mhm.
And it's interesting enough. I get to travel, I get to know different culture. So it's good enough. And yeah, and then I got my first child, and then I told my husband, yeah, maybe it's the right moment to change, like to study psychology. And then he told me, no, it's not a good idea, and blah blah blah. I said, okay, then no. And then and then I said, okay, maybe I'm going to do an MBA or something like that, because I always had this progression in my mind. I always have to do next step, but I wasn't really, yeah, really motivated to do the MBA. So I just did the first step, but then I let go of the idea. Then came my second child, and I had a new promotion, and it was even more exciting somehow. And I thought, okay, new challenge. So I decided to take this new challenge. And I had to fight in order to take it, because I had to travel a lot, and I had two small children. And living in Germany, and that's why it's important, because in France it's okay to have children and to travel and to work as a woman. It's fully in the culture. But
Okay.
in Germany, it's not the same. In
Mm.
Germany, like if you have children, you are a woman, well, the society expects that you just get rid of your career, that you,
Interesting. For Germany, I would
yeah,
thought that.
it's really far. So I think at that moment, I really understood the difference between Germany and France. Before that, yeah, okay, they like beer, we like wine. Okay, we don't have the same language. Okay, there is some the smile less. Okay, but it's all the same, more or less.
Yeah,
Like if
their
you
wine is not very good, so you probably were like,
well, they do have some nice Riesling or something like that. But it's, like small differences. You can laugh about it, but at the end, it's kind of the same. So I met my husband in China. So in China, it's a complete different culture.
right.
Um, but at that moment where I have been confronted with the family and the role of the woman inside of the family, I thought, okay, here it's a huge difference. And so what we are not prepared to live when French women come in Germany, it's usually like a big shower, like, oh my God, what's going on? So I had to fight a little bit in order for my husband to accept the idea that I'm going to take the challenge and then he's going to be in charge of the children as much as I am going to be in charge of them. And I told him, if it's too much, if it's not working, which is fine. I mean, it was really intense. He had a very intense job at that moment too. So I just can't stop it. I can do something different. It's fine, but I have to try. I cannot stop myself and then to like years later say, yeah, because of you, family, husband, and children, I stopped my career. So it's really something that I didn't want to feel. And indeed, it was a lot. It was maybe too much. And then at that point, anyway, I understood that this new job was not that interesting and that I put too much energy into it for what exactly I wasn't sure about what was the meaning of all that. So this big question that so many of us ask ourselves, why am I doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Why I am on this earth? It is really to do that. And that at that moment it was so present. So I really had to change it. Because I was really losing myself.
Do you think that you were, I'm going to say, complying with society because of some of childhood, I mean, experiences, things that you needed to heal? It was easier to, I mean, I find, one of the
Mhm.
things I specialize when I'm coaching, it's to heal the inner child, because I,
Yeah,
I realized in my own story that was the driver of everything I did.
yeah, I
Uh,
agree.
and so different, I'm going to call it trauma, different traumas lead to different reactions, or the way that we show up in life, right?
Yeah.
And so um do you feel like that, like being like staying with the is good enough, or just saying it's okay, it's different, Germany is different than France, and I'm going to accept it? I mean, do you feel like that was like has something to do with your childhood?
Well, my it's something that I don't tell in the book,
Mhm.
but my childhood. I think I had like really a very big moment. I was 6 years old, and I had like a big shock, a big trauma at that moment,
Mhm.
where I understood that um, well, to be seen might be very dangerous,
Mm.
and then to be different might be very dangerous. And at that moment, I started to have like a coping system. And that's really interesting because in your chapter, you explained that with 9 years old, you started to do like to put some strategy.
Mhm.
And I did the same, different kind of strategies. But with 9 years old, I was 10 maybe, I can remember myself in the way, I'm never going to show my problem anymore.
Mhm.
That's over. I'm never going to be that anymore,
Mhm.
do that anymore, because anyway, they don't understand it. They judge it. You don't feel better at the end and you are vulnerable. So I'm going to close and to shut down my emotions as well, which is something that I started to do before already, like with 6, as I had my big trauma. And so my lesson from 6 to maybe later, it's like, don't be seen that much. If you are different, you are not accepted. If you show your program, people, they don't understand it anyway, don't show them anymore. So just be tough and do your things.
Yeah. And I want people to that are listening to understand that we all have done this, and we
Yeah.
don't do it consciously. Between the ages 5 to 12, this is when the brain it's creating all the beliefs, all the rules, all the safety mechanisms that are going to fire your fight or flight response later on in life.
Yeah.
And you're not consciously saying, you know what, I'm going to shut down, I'm just not going to open my heart, or I'm just going to hide in a corner because being seen is danger. You don't
Yeah.
do that consciously. You're doing it because something happened, and your little brain at that age decided that that was the smartest thing to do, and it probably was. But the problem is that then the brain changes uh, the frequency, the brain waves,
Exactly.
and then it's like this is what it is, right?
Yeah.
And you go through life, and then you wonder why you keep getting triggered with the same situations or
Yeah.
act in different ways. It's like, oh, but this other person can be successful this way and I can't. I wonder why. Well, this is
Yeah.
why.
Yeah, for me it was really because I believe that I was really like independent and I was, yeah, very not loud, but with five and something like that. I knew already what I wanted to be. I wanted to discover things and so on. And then I had this trigger moment at school, and where everything changed, and where I had the impression that the adulthood just conspired against me. So I really felt abandoned and alone and rejected and whatever. So it's all the program. And then I remember, so okay, and I can remember that I showed my difference. So the story is very simple. So with between 3 or like 0 and 6, I use both hands. I always use both hands. So but I prefer to write with my link hand at
Mhm.
that time, but I was able to do that with right as well. And the teacher, my I can remember my mom telling that the teacher, and until now I always really like blocked. I didn't want people to change that in me. I wanted to stay as I was. And I can remember at that moment that I decided to show the teacher how I could really play with both hands. So I just changed my hand and just started to write something. And at that moment, the teacher spotted it and said, okay, then we have to change her. And then I had to retrain myself and my brain during 2 months during the vacation in order to be able in the first grade then to write with this
The
hand.
right hand. Yeah.
And at that moment, I can remember that I told myself, but it's your fault because
Mm. You show
you
them.
show, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh
So
my.
it's not good to show how different you are. So it's better. So it's really like that's why I really love like the forgetting part, and healing your inner child. So I have done that so much. So going back to this child, say it's not your fault, and you are so beautiful the way you are, and so on, and then trying to forgive as well the teacher. It took me so many hours, years. Like with 13, I still was crying when I was thinking about that. So now it's all good. I can speak about it and so on. But
Yeah.
like 10 years ago, it was still like a big drama I could feel in my body.
And I this is beautiful, Christelle, because people sometimes think when I talk about trauma that I am talking about, some sexual thing, or
Yeah.
or like you got like abused physically, or it doesn't have to be. It could be
No.
anything. And if it created an emotionally charged event in your life,
Yeah.
it gets coded in every cell of your body. And guess what? It can be passed generations.
Yes, definitely. I agree with that.
And so I've had clients, it's like, well, I have a pretty good life. And I actually think that when we had one of the first calls for the book, that you said, I don't have any like big traumatic event.
Yes, exactly. It's because it's always like a question, and it's exactly the same with my client when they come to me. Like they are very strong women with great careers and so on, and they show up like very confident, kind of. Sometimes a little bit aggressive, like a little bit with a male energy,
Yes.
and then so okay, and then we start to discuss about the life. So somehow it pops up at some point and always come back, and then you hear like some big part of their childhood and sometimes really like big dramas, but they don't see that this way. That, yeah, but it's okay, it's happened. So
Because,
it's like
and I tell
they
you,
just
someone
need
who
to.
had to do that, yeah, as someone who had to do that, I became very independent, very strong, right? So for me, it was like, ah, it's not a big deal. I just,
Yeah.
I survived it, right?
Yes.
Eh, but then when I was healing, it's like, oh no, holy crap, this was a big deal. It was a big deal, right? Like,
Yeah.
and it's just like opening up, which is not fun. I'm not gonna tell anybody that it's fun, but it's so worth it because when you
It
can heal
is.
those wounds, then you become who you really are. We're here to be authentic.
Yes, and you don't lose energy in this trauma, because I can remember a client of mine. She had a very difficult childhood within the family, and then now she has children,
Mhm.
and then she has like two children, and in the family that she created, it's kind of the same constellation that the family she grew up, and then everything is fine now, right now, in her family. But every time that one member of the family does something, like she have like this huge energy because
Mhm.
she's afraid that something's going to happen, but nothing is going to happen because
Yeah.
it's a safe environment. But she has to deal with it so massively in order to react properly, not flipping out.
Yes.
And I told her, you really have to try really to heal that, because you put so much energy there. It's like a very simple harmonious moment where usually eventually you should get energy from your environment. At that moment for you, it's like a big trigger, and you lose your energy. She's completely drained after like a very nice moment in the family,
Yes.
which
Yeah.
is a pity.
I relate to that. That used to be my life. Good thing I'm not there anymore. So, Christelle, I want what let's share with the audience like what is the core message of your chapter in this book? What do you want the readers to get
Mm.
when they read your beautiful chapter?
So when they read my beautiful chapter, so I explain, yeah, why I decided. So the big trigger
Mhm.
that really made me move, and the big trigger was a depression.
Mhm.
And I am not explaining right now why and so on. You have to read the book.
Yes, yes.
But because for me it was really like a aha moment, like, oh my god, what I'm doing right now. But anyway, the thing is that I was in a period of my life where I was losing everything, so nobody could see that because I'm very good at not showing my problems,
Mhm.
like the promise that I have done with myself with 9, and whatever's going on, I'm going to continue and to show that I'm strong enough and so on. But at that moment, I couldn't do that anymore. So I was really losing myself, losing my relationship with my husband. I was not functioning properly at work anymore, and I was definitely not the cool mom that I wanted to be for my children. So this made me change and say, okay, so one of my principles is really like, I believe that there is at least 20 or 30% of the population that we need to have this fulfillment in our work. We are not able to think, oh, it's okay to have an okay-ish job in order to wait and to have our life back. I
Mhm.
know that there's so many people saying that it's fine, but I do believe like about 20-30% of the population, it's not fine. You cannot do that. You need your purpose. You need something fulfilling you. You need like, yeah, to put your energy in something engaging you. And I explained that it's possible. I explained how it's possible, and I explained the lesson that I had. And at that moment, and again, like in German, it's something that you would never do. It's like when you have like 2, 3 small children and working full time, which is just unbelievable already, but like trying to build a business on top of that. And not really having the support of the family, because anyway my family is in France,
Right.
and my husband wasn't really happy about the new crazy idea of his like French wife. So but it's possible.
Yes,
It's
it
possible.
and so you have Christelle as a testimony that is possible. You have Carmen as a testimony that is possible, because we both did it.
Yeah,
So
and yeah, and look in the book. If you look at the stories of the other ladies in the books, they all more or less have done that
I know
in
it's
crazy
so amazing.
situations sometimes.
Like I am going to tell you, like if uh Raymonda, who is the what's her title? But she's the leader of the book, and Women Thrive.
Hmm.
If she would have tried to pick the authors that would write similar stories that actually kind of go together, she wouldn't be able to do it. Like this was like the beautiful orchestration of the universe. We
Yes.
all started writing, and we actually the book is like also coherent, which is so
Yes.
beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, and it's really beautiful because it's give like one message and more or less the same message but put it differently with another story with another woman coming from another country and we have different stories but at the end the at the end I think the lessons are all yeah see the beauty inside of you, heal your inner child, be all about like compassion, like forgiveness,
Mhm.
and like gratitude. So like compassion, forgiveness, gratitude. It's really like word that I have been heard for 20 years. And you, like I was 20, I was really like we feel of a lot of anger,
Mhm.
and I couldn't really like these words. So they really, really like every time I heard like you should be like more grateful, I was like, I want to punch you in your because I had so much anger inside of me and I couldn't do that. I couldn't feel that. But then
Mhm.
I trained myself and it's like it's a process, it's a journey. And at some point I explained that in the book, I could feel that. And
Yeah.
it was interesting because for me it was kind of decision. I had like one moment where, okay, now I'm going to take the decision that I should be grateful for all the things that I created in my life. And that's it. And at that moment, I could start to feel it.
Yeah.
And before that, I was like, no, I don't want to feel the compassion or I don't want to feel the gratitude. So it's suck to always come back to these words. But
It's
they are true.
that right there. People think that it takes years to change your life. It takes 1 second. It
Mhm.
takes the second that you decide that
Yeah.
you hit rock bottom, that you're done with suffering, with pain, with the life that you have, with not liking what you see around you.
Yeah.
1 second to say, I am going to change right now, right here. And
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
things are not gonna transform, but you transform in a
Yeah.
second. You have the power to say, you know what? I'm going to start feeling grateful. There's so
Mm.
many things to feel grateful for. Always. Like I always say to my clients when they come, it's like, oh, I have this bad week. I'm like, okay, I let's play game. I promise you, everything you tell me, I can, you know,
Switch it. Yeah.
switch it to
Yeah.
something positive. Like the crazy stuff. And sometimes I come up with these crazy ideas where we end up laughing, right? Because it's
Mm.
um but it's everything. You can choose a decision again. You can choose to think that things are happening to you, or
Yeah.
you can choose to think that things are happening for you.
Yeah.
And when you think that everything's happening for you, it doesn't matter how shitty your situation is. There's a lesson and there's a reason, and there's always a rainbow at the other side.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. It's like one of my sons. So he have seen one quote once, and I think it really liked it. It was at the end, it's going to be everything fine, and if it's not fine now, that means it's not the end. And it's
Mhm.
like, wow, that's so cool. It's so true. And then now he's always repeating that as a mantra every time he has like kind of difficulties. So he has this sentence in his mind, and okay, that's yeah, cool.
Love
It's
it.
one way to stay positive and to see things. Yeah, to think, okay, I'm going to find a way, or it's going to be a way.
I love it. So, Christelle, why don't you tell us a little bit about your business? How do you help women or men or whoever you help, and where can people find you?
Yeah, sure. So my business is I help mostly women. I help sometimes businesses and organizations as well. But so if you look at me in social media like Instagram and LinkedIn, it's where I am the most. So I focus really my message more about helping women to transform their life and to look at creating a profitable and a meaningful. So the meaningful part is really, really important.
Mhm.
It's where we put our focus. But I decided to put the profitable as well because I have a lot of expats. A lot of women who are not in their country, or like in Germany, women so deciding that at some point they should kind of retired or not want more money or more profit or whatsoever, which is wrong. So I think we can have everything like profits and more and meaning and fun and everything. So I help women to find their strength, to be seen,
Mhm.
not to hide, and to develop something like it might be a business, but sometimes they don't want to build a business. They just want to have a very nice contribution in a very nice organization, which is great. We don't have to be all business women or entrepreneur. Some entrepreneurs are just great as well. So I just help them to find their path, whatever it is. For some of them, sometimes it's because they have been working so hard. It's like they know that the balance at home it's not really working, and the balance at home is not really present. And you know how important it is. So if we don't have that, so okay, business is working, running, or our career, but when this part is not working properly, something is missing inside. So I help them to create great bonds. To have, I do like team buildings at home. It's
Mhm.
how I call him, like team buildings how at home, have the nice work-life balance, to be sure that we take care of the people that are important in our life, and at the same time to have just the career that we feel that we should have. Sometimes it's not a career; it's just a project, but
Mhm.
it's as well. So as long as they feel fulfilled at the end and happy and in their power and they have the impact they want to have, I am all in. So
Beautiful. So we're gonna put Christelle's links in the description of the podcast, along with the day the book will be out, because at the time we're recording this, we
we
don't
don't
know when that
know.
is. So yes, look at the description, because by the time this air, we'll know what it is. So I just want to say thank you so much, Christelle, for being here. What an amazing time we live, right? Like we can be having a video conversation across the world, having, co-writing a book together, impacting life, having pretty similar stories. I don't know if you know, I'm a mechanical engineer, and I always wanted to
Yes,
be a
yes.
chemical engineer, but we didn't have that in Panama, so I had to settle for the best. I had to settle for the best next thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's just amazing how we get connected, and I love that you're here, and thank you so much for
I
um,
thank you. I
your
thank you
story.
for having me with you and for your patience as well, because I know it was a little bit difficult to find the
Oh,
date and, and but we did it. We did it. So it's just great. So thank you very much. Thank
yeah.
you very much.
Okay, and next week we're gonna have another co-author of the book, so just stay tuned so you can learn more about this amazing book that's gonna transform so many lives. I'll see you
Yeah,
next
very
week.
good.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Hey there, thank you for tuning into today's episode of Living Intentionally, the podcast where we explore ways to live with purpose and fulfillment. If you're new here, make sure to hit the follow button so you never miss an episode. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at the Carmen Benton. I'm your host, Carmen Benton. I'll be back next week with more insights and inspiration.